I'm MT Lynx, and this is Wordbite, where we dissect powerful, poetic, and sometimes strange words that live at the heart of storytelling. If you're a reader, a writer, a word nerd, or just someone who loves discovering the meaning between the lines, you're in the right place, because today's word is Oblivion. Not like the game, and we're not remastering this. Come on, let's dive in. This is Wordbite. Oblivion is the word we give to disappearance so total, it's as if someone or something was never there to begin with. It's not just forgetting, it's being forgotten. It's the quiet, creeping fear under the surface of every story. What happens when no one remembers us anymore? Look, if you love this kind of word deep diving, where we explore not just what words mean, but where they come from, how they shape our stories, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and drop a comment telling me your favourite word. And now, let's journey into Oblivion. Part 1. What does Oblivion mean today? It can mean a state of unconsciousness, as in being medicated into oblivion. It can mean obscurity, being consigned to oblivion, removed from memory or ignition. It can mean destruction, an erasure so final it's indistinguishable from non-existence. It's poetic and terrifying, medical, metaphorical and mythic. We use it to describe everything from lost empires to emotional numbness, from fictional voids to personal grief. But where did it come from? And why does it resonate so deeply? Part 2. Latin roots, Oblivisci and its forces. The Latin Oblivisci is the verb that means to forget, but Latin isn't passive about it. This isn't forgetting like misplacing your keys, it's an active forgetting. The prefix ob means against or over, so the literal sense is to cover over the memory, to push it away. From oblivici to oblivio, meaning forgetfulness, but even that doesn't convey the weight the Romans gave it. To them, oblivio wasn't simple memory loss, it was spiritual exile, the soul's severing from history. Oblivion meant something had passed beyond the realm of knowing. We can see this thread running through centuries of language. Middle English retains this gravity. Chaucer writes about lovers who fall into oblivion, as if falling into the pit of the earth. Part 3. Philosophy, memory, lack of life, and forgetting. In philosophy, memory defines identity. What you remember is, in a sense, who you are. And so oblivion becomes not just about loss, it becomes existential. Plato's myths speak of the river Lethe, whose waters cause souls to forget their past lives before being reincarnated. The forgetting is necessary, but it's also dangerous. Drink too deeply and you lose who you are. This concept of enforced forgetfulness pops up again and again in Nietzsche, who writes about historical cycles of erasure, how forgetting both liberates and dooms us. And Heidegger, who feared a culture collapsing into oblivion of being, or forgetting of essence itself. Part 4. Religion and ritual, Lethe, dust, and the soul. Ancient religions viewed oblivion as a force of balance. In Greek myth, souls passed through Lethe and mnemosyne, forgetting and memory. Both were required for rebirth. In Christianity, especially in medieval mysticism, oblivion became associated with humility and surrender. Saints spoke of the blessed oblivion of the self, where ego dissolved into divine mystery. But in darker tones, it meant damnation. The damned were those whom God forgot. Rituals emerged to fight oblivion. Funeral songs, ancestral offerings, tombstone inscriptions, all meant to say, we remember. From Shakespeare to Shelley. Shakespeare used oblivion with masterful weight. In Measure for Measure, he writes, oblivion is the grave of all things. It is the final destination of all striving, ambition, even virtue. Mary Shelley invokes oblivion in Frankenstein, where the creature asks, was I then a monster, a blot upon the earth, from which all men fled, and whom all men disowned? His desire is not for the peace of the dead, but oblivion, a wiping away of identity. Poets use the word like a scalpel. Emily Dickinson speaks of a soft parade into oblivion. T.S. Eliot warns that this is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper, a quiet fading into the unremembered. Oblivion in fantasy and sci-fi. Fantasy thrives on memory and myth, which means it also thrives on oblivion, the lost language, the forgotten prophecy, the erased name. In Tolkien's work, oblivion hangs like fog over Numenor and Mordor. Forgotten greatness becomes tragedy. The fading of elves is not the lack of life, it's oblivion. In science fiction, oblivion becomes the final frontier, the unknowable singularity, the AI whose memory banks are wiped, the cryo-sleeper who wakes in a future that no longer remembers their world. Modern media, games, film, and cultural symbolism. The Elder Scrolls didn't just use the word for its title, it made a realm. The plane of oblivion is chaos, fire, and entropy, but it's also choice. The player enters, shapes, survives it. Oblivion becomes a trial. In Interstellar, oblivion is visualized as a tesseract of memory, a literal collapsing of time. In The Matrix, it is the blue pill. In Mass Effect, it's the Reapers erasing civilizations in repeating cycles. Oblivion, in modern pop culture, is no longer just absence. It's the enemy, the monster made of forgetting, and sometimes the tool of liberation. The psychology of oblivion. Psychologically, oblivion is deeply tied to trauma. Our minds create oblivion to protect us. We dissociate, we repress, we lose time, but those same tools of defense can become prisons. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the part of ourselves we cast into the unconsciousness. Writers often mine this for character arcs. The amnesiac hero, the secret past, the locked room of memory. In grief, oblivion is both feared and desired. We dread forgetting a loved one, but we also ache for the relief of the pain of remembering. How authors use oblivion in storytelling. Authors wield oblivion with precision. It's more than a plot device. It's a theme, a tone, a character. Oblivion is the broken mirror, the lost name, the world built atop another's ashes. Fantasy authors use it as mythology. Literary authors use it as a metaphor. Horror authors use it as punishment. In character arcs, oblivion often marks a turning point, the moment they let go, or are let go. It's used to create tragedy, catharsis, horror, and even hope. Wordshift. Oblivion as rebirth. But here's the twist. Oblivion isn't always loss. Sometimes it's release. The old must fall into oblivion so that the new can rise. The past must be buried to make way for reinvention. Characters shed names, people leave towns, stories end so others can begin. In this way, oblivion becomes rebirth, a necessary nothingness, not the villain, but the void before creation, naming the void. Oblivion is not just the end, it's a word for the unnamed place after, the silence that waits, and maybe, just maybe, the silence that listens. Every time we use a word like this, we're not just writing, we're remembering what not to forget. Thanks for joining me for this Wordbite. I'm MT Lynx, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the abyss, please like, comment your favourite forgotten word, and subscribe. Until next time, don't let your story fall into oblivion. And now you've been bitten by the Wordbite. I'll see you in the next video. This one, right here. Go ahead, be a lover, click it. You know you want to.